Shalom, family. Good to see everyone here. Hope you're doing well. Well, it just seems like it gets from bad to worse for these people with EBT because the Supreme Court in this country has sided with Donald Trump in pausing any of the EBT cards to be funded. So people that have it are going to have to wait longer. So I guess they don't care if people are starving or people really need to get their hands on food. Now, where I live, y'all, it's Wednesday. Wednesday is a big day for the food lines around here. And we went past the church this morning, and man, were these people lined up for that food. We got one church that give out donated food from the supermarkets, and people were over there in that line, and it just seems to get longer and longer every single week. Every Wednesday that line gets longer, so you get to see what the climate is really like in this country, and it's not good. There's a lot of people that probably never struggled their entire life, but they're struggling now. So it's really sad to see stuff like that. I mean, look, even 10, 20 years ago, I did not see that. I mean, there were always people that were in need of food, but not like we see it today. And I'm like, wow, it's just unbelievable. So anyway, y'all, we're going to get into this Supreme Court decision. And you would think Supreme Court justices would kind of see this from a person's perspective, but a lot of those justices are rich. They don't care about anybody that's not rich. They could care less. And we already know Donald Trump don't care. I think at this point, if they could keep people starving until 2026, they would absolutely do it. For real. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Yeah, no, but it just goes to show you, even the Supreme Court is corrupt. There is no court in this land that's not corrupt. It doesn't matter if it's the highest court. There is the same corruption. Thank you, everybody.
News tonight about SNAP. The Supreme Court has extended an order blocking full SNAP benefits and payments. The decision was just released in the last few minutes here. This comes as lawmakers inch closer to ending the government shutdown, which would allow food payments to resume, but it would take days, sometimes even weeks, to get that money to these individuals. So this is a developing story that we'll continue to keep up on and bring you more information as it's released.
The president went to the Supreme Court to deprive kids of food. Unbelievable. And now wants to deny their parents health care. This is a point, I've heard it twice already this evening here, that whether or not the government was open or shut, there was $6 billion in a contingency fund passed by Democrats and Republicans for food stamps to be used in the event of occasion like this. It was the administration, President Trump refused to let those monies flow to the people who need it the most. It was not a question of whether or not the government was open or not. And let's stop aligning the two of those.
Here's everything that happened while you were on the clock. The Supreme Court has extended a pause on a ruling that required the Trump administration to immediately pay out full November food stamp benefits. Health experts says that Canada no longer has measles elimination status due to ongoing outbreaks. Trump has pardoned Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, and dozens of other people involved in the effort to overturn the 2020 election. Over 1,100 U.S. flights were canceled early today a judge's finding that Wendy Williams has a specific medical condition used to justify her guardianship is apparently incorrect. The UK has suspended some intelligence sharing with the United States. LA police will not file homicide charges in the death of Celeste Rivas, which was linked to a car registered to singer David. Jaguars player Travis Hunter is out for the season after having a knee injury and expected to return in 2026. Speaker Johnson says he
this Cubic. Joan, what do we know?
Good to see you, Jake. The Supreme Court's order just now essentially postpones the effect of lower court's decisions that said the Trump administration was required to restart the SNAP benefits. This is the nutritional supplements for had been known as food stamps for some 40 million Americans nationwide. The court originally had an order that would have allowed the SNAP benefits to continue as of about midnight tonight. And because of what's going on the Hill, I'm sure that's the reason, even though they didn't give a justification, they've now extended their order, pausing the lower court decision that says the SNAP benefits have to come out. They paused that till Thursday night, which obviously will allow for House consideration of this new bill for tomorrow on Wednesday that would possibly restart the government. I think the Supreme Court hopes that its involvement, the involvement of the federal judiciary in this issue, is soon going to be moot. But it does mean in reality that the possibility that the SNAP benefits would have picked up tonight, as the court had originally signaled, just isn't going to happen. And it's going to be either when the Congress reopens the government and allows these benefits to start flowing out, or Thursday night when the court's order kicks in.
Joan, was the vote unanimous?
No, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, our most liberal member of the court, she dissented. She wanted those benefits to flow immediately. She had originally handled this case. She's what we call the circuit justice from the region that this had arisen in Rhode Island. And her original order, it was her order that said that that the postponement of the lower court judge's order that these benefits had to start being distributed, that should happen tonight. And she voted against any kind of postponement, but her voice was a lone one, Jake.
Joan Cubic, thanks so much.
Well, I have some bad news. If you're on SNAP and you didn't get it yet, you're not going to get it again, at least not until 11:59 p.m. on August 13th, which is this upcoming Thursday. Yesterday at noon, Trump decided to go back to the Supreme Court to appeal again, and they ruled in his favor again. Listen, I don't care if that judge is doing this for with good intention. It's the fact that the president of the United States, the president of all Americans, not just MAGA, is trying so hard to not distribute funds to feed his own people. That's the issue. It's just so incredibly frustrating because everybody I know got their SNAP. Even online, people who weren't even supposed to get their SNAP until the 15th, the 21st, later in the month, they got theirs. But I have not got mine, and I'm somebody who always gets it on the 9th. I should have gotten it yesterday or today or into tomorrow, but not anymore. And not only that, my Bridges account, I'm in Michigan, by the way, my Bridges account isn't even showing that I have food assistance under my benefits with my health insurance. It's almost like I don't have it and never got a denial letter. So, and I did do, every 6 months they have you do a recertification or whatever, redetermination. I completed that 2 months ago. So that should not, there's no reason that I would not get mine other than all this bullshit. It just fucking sucks. And here's the thing too, if the government were to reopen, then SNAP would just get distributed. But I don't think it's going to. Not with them wanting to basically do a national abortion ban to get the ACA subsidies extended. I don't think that's going to happen. And there's so much going on where I don't think the House is going to pass this bill. I don't think they're going to pass it to open the government. So it's very possible that the first court's order won't actually take place until December. So then, let's say that order takes place and Trump has nothing else to do to try to stop this from happening. Let's say people like me don't get their November benefits. Well, they've been promising back pay and all of that. So if they're ordered in December to pay this out, but they're also claiming that they don't have money to pay it out, are we not going to get December and not going to get November? Or how are they going to give us back pay? This is all just so fucking dumb.
The Supreme Court just decided to let the Trump administration continue withholding funds from the food stamp program, at least for now. Basically, until Congress approves new money, the government doesn't have to fully fund SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program that helps about 42 million Americans buy food. This all started when lower courts said the administration had to use about $4 billion from tariff revenue to keep food stamps funded. But the Supreme Court stepped in and said, hold up. They extended that order to give themselves more time to review the case. Now, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the only one who pushed back. She said she would have denied the extension, but she didn't explain her reason. Government lawyers argue the courts can't force the administration to spend money Congress hasn't approved. Basically saying this is Congress's job, not ours. Meanwhile, the Rhode Island Council of Churches and other groups are fighting that decision, saying people need food now. They say millions of Americans are already struggling and waiting on Congress to make things worse. And here's the wild part. The government shutdown that started October 1st is still dragging on. They're saying Congress is close to a deal, but nothing's final yet. So bottom line for now, funding for SNAP, the food stamp program, stays limited until Congress decides what's next. Do you think the courts should have stepped in to make the government release those funds? Or do you think it's right to wait for Congress to act? If you're tired of waiting on the government and want to start earning your own money from home, we're helping people get licensed in the life insurance industry, helping you make about $2,000 to $3,000 a month part-time. If you're interested and you're in the US or Canada and 18 or older, comment agency below or click the link in my bio, the first tab there, fill that out, and either myself or someone from my team will reach out.
So here's the very latest on the SNAP benefits. So it looks like the Supreme Court has extended the block on the SNAP payments during the government shutdown. The High Court had just extended its temporary block on lower court rulings that would have forced the Trump administration to make the full SNAP payments this week. This move doesn't decide the case, but it keeps them frozen for another 48 hours. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson did dissent publicly, say the payments should resume immediately. The Justice Department argues courts shouldn't step in what it calls a political crisis, insisting only Congress can end the shutdown and restart the benefits. So kind of that's where we are for now, and we'll provide you any additional information as we get it.
The U.S. Supreme Court, at the request of the Trump administration, is extending the order blocking full payment of SNAP benefits for 2 more days until the 13th, with the hope that the government shutdown will end, and then they won't have to make a decision. At the same time, members of the House of Representatives are scurrying back to Washington so that they can vote, presumably, to end the shutdown and then send the measure to the president's desk and bring this part of the story to a close. Hearing from many people that there are partial payments, and here's what I'm hearing today. Indiana, South Dakota, Maryland, and Montana TikTok users are commenting that they are getting partial payments. Virginia TikTok user is commenting that partial payments are expected by the 13th. User in Ohio says their Propel app, the app that manages their account, is saying that full benefits will be coming, but no date. Pennsylvania took the shutdown message off the phone number and has posted on the website that benefits are paused and they'll send as soon as they can. Partial benefits are varying by state from as much as more than half to as little as 10% or less. I'm going to go through the list of states now for what we know. Full payment: Arizona, California, Connecticut, Hawaii, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Washington, Wisconsin. Partial payment: Alaska, Colorado, Delaware, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Texas, Vermont, Virginia. No payment yet: Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Iowa, Nebraska, Ohio, South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, West Virginia, Wyoming. Thank you, all of you who are SNAP recipients who are posting what is happening. Please do continue to do so because things are going to be moving forward, we hope, with the government shutdown coming to a close. It'll be interesting to see how long after that it takes everything to get back to normal. So I know while it's disappointing to have to post you haven't received anything yet, or you've only received a little, it really is helpful to others to see what's happening in the various states. So when you post, please do mention your state and whether you're getting full, partial, or no payment, and we'll continue to update about what is happening with SNAP, our social safety net.
We just heard from the Supreme Court. It is in the middle of the night, about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and they just ruled that at this very moment, Donald Trump does not need to pay SNAP benefits. It's only just a pause before you start freaking out. Essentially, what happened here is that they said we need more time to figure out all this stuff. So the lower courts gave Trump until the end of Friday, meaning midnight tonight, to do these payments. And right now they said, look, we're just pausing it right now so that way that doesn't go through and we can actually sit down and go through this together. This does not mean that the Supreme Court agrees with Donald Trump in stopping SNAP. By 9:35 p.m., the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi took to X to say the Supreme Court just granted our admin stay in this case. Our attorneys will not stop fighting day and night to defend and advance President Trump's agenda. Once again, need to refer you back to my video about an hour ago in which we say this money was specifically put aside for a government shutdown so that people could still get money during this time. We don't know why the Trump administration thinks it's okay to pause said SNAP benefits. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on this though, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.
The most updated news on what's going on with the government and SNAP. The fight over SNAP benefits just escalated again. Late last night, the Trump administration formally told the Supreme Court they will continue appealing the lower court order that required full food stamp payments for 42 million Americans during the shutdown. The lower court decision said families must receive their full monthly benefit, but the administration argued that only Congress can authorize full funding during a shutdown. The Supreme Court stepped in and paused the payments while they review the case. Here's the messy part. Some states already sent out full SNAP benefits before the freeze. Others only issued partial amounts. Now the USDA is telling states that paid the full amount that they may have to undo those payments unless Congress intervenes. The Supreme Court is expected to issue a temporary ruling as soon as Tuesday, tomorrow. Until then, families are stuck in limbo with no clear guidance and no guarantee of full benefits during the shutdown.
The U.S. Supreme Court extends the stay
of SNAP benefits payments. Hey, y'all, it's Kirk with breaking news. And just a little while ago, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a page decision I'm looking at. I wouldn't even call it a page. It's really 2 sentences. And basically it says the administrative stay that was put in place, stopping the administration from having to pay SNAP benefits, that stay was expiring. The U.S. Supreme Court has now extended that stay until the 13th. So the stay has been extended to 11:59 p.m. on November the 13th, so on Thursday. So the administration still does not have to comply with the judge's order at this time. So that's all we know so far. That stay has been extended through the 13th. Could be extended longer. Could be other action in the case by the Supreme Court. As I hear this information, I will keep you all updated. As always, if you enjoy my content, please think about giving me a like, a follow, and a repost. Thank y'all.
Hey, Newsy. So we just got some breaking news. The U.S. Supreme Court just sided with the Trump administration to not fully fund SNAP benefits in November. The Trump administration has been in a court battle saying that they cannot fully fund SNAP right now because that money is needed elsewhere. So far, Texans have received partial payments as of yesterday. And just to give you an idea about how much people are getting with these partial payments, I did talk to a mother today who said that she usually gets $546 a month. But yesterday, when she woke up to money on her Lone Star card, she saw $337. And she said she has a 2-year-old, and that's just not sustainable. And just to give you an idea of how states are calculating this, the Texas Health and Human Services, they say that they're basing it on income and the household size. So, for example, on their rubric, I saw that if you, for example, are having an income of at least $587, your partial payment could be as low as $16. So this just comes after the Senate passed a short-term funding bill to finally reopen the government. However, we still have to wait for the House to make their votes. And I did talk to a Texas lawmaker today, Austin Congressman Lloyd Doggett, and he said he will be voting no on the funding bill because it doesn't align with the health care benefits that the Democrats have been demanding from Republicans. And we're talking about the Affordable Health Care Act tax credits. So we're just watching and waiting right now, but that is the latest on the SNAP debacle, and I will keep you updated as we get more information.
All right, y'all. I feel so bad for people on EBT. I really do. This got to be painful. And you heard what Donald Trump said. He told states not to give out any SNAP funding. And states that did give money, he's going to penalize them by withholding federal funds. I did that one yesterday. So, look, no matter how you look at this thing, it is one big old mess. And, you know, it's a situation where they need to move fast on this because there are a lot of children and a lot of elderly people on SNAP that got to eat. But, you know, they just put out an email, Jeffrey Epstein, and I've been looking at that over the last hour. And apparently Donald Trump is implicated in this email along with an Epstein victim. And the White House right now is having an emergency meeting over this email. How about having an emergency meeting over the EBT so people can get those funds and finally put food on the table? How about doing an emergency meeting for that? Unbelievable. Boy, if this place ever got their priorities right, I would be shocked. For real. Unbelievable. So, Lenny 265, I thank you deeply for your very generous super chat. Thank you. And I thank you for your support. Mr. Soulful 42, thank you for your super chat. Sister Lisa, they're reporting that 30 names of political figures on this Epstein file from both parties. Trump made calls to House members today to not vote to release it. Well, apparently Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, and a few other people are having an emergency meeting over that. So I need to piece it together a little more. I did hear about it. And if I do touch on that, more than likely it will be tomorrow. So I thank you also for your support from my channel. I deeply appreciate it. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And those of you that get assistance, keep your head up. They're going to have to come to terms and get these cards funded sooner or later. I know it's rough. I hope there are people around you that are helpful and can lean on you, or you can go to maybe a food pantry or food bank or even a church that serves food, to hold yourself over until they get this mess straightened out. It should not be all this red tape just to fund these cards. Boy, this is what happens when you have Gentiles running the place. So, y'all, please enjoy your evening. I got one more live coming up at 5:45. You are not going to believe it. These rapture nuts are still trying to hang in there, waiting for a rapture to happen. It has been multiple rapture dates, and you still got these folks desperately still trying to hang on to the thought that a rapture is coming. I mean, this is now just plain insanity. These people need to go get some help at this point. So that's what I have coming up at 5:45. I hope to see you then. Shalom, family.